overnight. It's, like sometimes they're cheap because it's a brand new district. Other times it's because it's in an area that's just not developed yet. So you can be that first person in there, and that's awesome. Just be prepared to know that you're going to want to bring other people in around you to boost not only your building, but hopefully your building boosts theirs as well, and increases the demand and value of that land both there and nearby.
Now, is the thing is I was reading a while ago the goal I was reading something about the last plot of land purchase is going to cost a million Ethereum. Is that correct? Or something
I
like
forget
that?
what it is. I 100 Ethereum is popping into my
100?
brain, but I don't know why.
Right.
So I don't know if it's 100. So
It's got
the
to be
the way
100. It's got to be
I
100.
think so. So the way that works is, and we're trying to kind of like reverse engineer the contracts to figure out exactly what the formula is. But what happens is every time you purchase a plot of unsold land, so every piece of land that you see there is there because it's not owned by another player. So when you purchase that plot of land, what happens is every single plot in a 7 by 7 area around it that's purchased, they get 12.5% of the initial purchase price of that land right back. So when somebody buys land near you, you get, like 12.5% of your initial investment right back like that. It's awesome. But the other plots of land that are nearby that are not sold yet increase in price. So that's how you get to that 100, let's call it 100 Ethereum. So when you were looking at District 49 before, all that land along the waterfront there's a lot of land that's available. But what's going to happen is as people start buying that land, every single plot with essentially 3 plots in every direction from the plot that you buy starts to go up in price. So you have diminishing scarcity, or I guess actually no, increasing scarcity with increasing price as well, which adds it's an interesting component and leads to a lot of land speculation.
Right. Right. Yeah, I love it. I love it. Let me look through some of these questions on here. What Creo asks, are they going to add mini games? I think we talked about that earlier. So a possibility maybe of mini games or something of the sorts in the future.
Yeah, I think that the update that they're going to be providing, it literally should be in the next week. I think is geared around specifically missions and I guess the concept of mini games. So what is it that you, as walking around the city as your avatar, what are you going to be able to do? Because right now the game is all around you build buildings, you collect, you buy, you sell materials, you construct buildings, you upgrade them, and all that. There's missing like that. What do I do in between collections when my building is not ready to produce
Right.
materials? What do I
Right.
do? I think missions or mini games or whatever you want to call them, I believe that's actually the next bit of information they're releasing. It doesn't roll out as far as we know until World comes out, so it's a dependency on World. It's a World feature, but I think mini games, missions, and just general activity in and around the city, besides just building, lots of that stuff comes to life. And I think that's also how you're supposed to be able to earn the World token. So somebody who comes in who doesn't have a whole bunch of money to spend, you can still, like, Ryan, you were talking about with Axie and what's happening, that whole ecosystem that's growing around, folks coming in to grind, to source all that material to then sell back to other players. You could hypothetically have that exact same situation come to play here, where we as landowners, have the ability to actually create our own workforce who are going out and doing certain things, gathering things for us. So it could be really cool because you could have the current layer and community pave the way to open the door to all of these other, commercialization opportunities that previously haven't existed within the game. I think that's the piece that's missing from MCP, is our ability to allow, those dollars or that profit or revenue to trickle down to other players. We don't have the ability to very easily share. Like revenue share is just nothing that it's not easily accomplished. I would love for there to be a world where I'm able to create something or build something and then employ other people to go out and do something where they're making a living. They're doing something that, like whether it be somebody that lives in the Philippines and doesn't have isn't as well off as you and me, or it's somebody who is literally trying to put themselves through college one city over. Being able to play a game and provide for yourself or your family is amazing, and we're able to kind of do that ourselves now. But to be able to pass that on and kind of share that opportunity with other people, that'll be an amazing thing if that ever occurs within MegaCryptoPolis.
Keith asks, as a district owner, do you set the tax rate?
I do. I do set the tax rate, but with some caveats. So, as district owner, you've got a couple different buckets of taxes. So there's collection or production taxes, which is how much your transaction gets taxed when you produce something, when you actually collect something from your building. Then there's construction taxes, which say when you construct a building, when you upgrade, how much is that going to cost? So we can't set the actual the exact amount that it's going to cost. We can set as a slider for what
percentage?
0%. Yep, 0 to 100. And one misconception is that a district owner who sets their taxes to 0, everything is free. It's not. So what it appears that MCP has done is it's essentially there's a base cost for everything that no matter what I do, it will not go away. My tax policies are essentially the variable that says on top of this base that the cost that the player is going to pay no matter what, how much above and beyond should we layer on? And interestingly enough, 100. If I set taxes, whatever that incremental amount is, I actually don't get 100% of that. I get a relatively small portion of that. So one of the things that I share with other folks who are district owners or want to become district owners is when you raise your taxes, a larger percent of that incremental cost actually gets exported out of your district. It goes to the global fund. It goes right back to the MCP team. Some goes to district fund. But what you're essentially saying is for every dollar more that somebody has to spend to take an action, more than 50 cents of that incremental dollar is leaving your district. So I'd rather have somebody pay more for land and a heck of a lot less for construction and collection, because what's in it for me? If I raise my taxes to 100%, all I'm doing is I'm hurting the entire district. I'm hurting the players that are developing the land, because what might cost them in my district, so we're going to talk Tron, what might cost them 4,000 Tron normally now costs them 8,000 Tron. And of that incremental 4,000 Tron they just spent, like 70%, 80% is just leaving my district. So it's not even in my best interest to have taxes be super high.
All right. So this global fund, I got the newspaper pulled up. So the global fund, is that controlled by the MCP team?
I don't know that. So I think it's owned by them, right? So they set that up. There's a contract specifically for the global fund, right? So think of it as it's an escrow. So every action that takes place, I think we've worked it out to be it's supposedly like 25% of an action goes to the global, 25% goes to the district fund, 17% to the district owner, and I think we believe it's 33% to the MCP team. We're still trying to confirm that. But those funds get distributed to the global fund. And then what you see over there on the right with the local funds is whatever district is where the action takes place, that district fund gets a portion, 25% of that fee or that tax that gets paid. So you have this distribution of every bit of money spent, it goes off into different places. So your global fund, if you build a business center, you generate passive income. You draw money from that fund. If you build an office block in a district, you draw, Tron or money from that district through your office. So those funds are a great indicator of the kind of growth that we're experiencing or seeing in the game. So when you see the global fund going up, what that's telling you is that players are continuing to build more and more, and their spend and reinvestment into the game is outpacing the distribution of the funds back to players. So as that fund grows, the daily payout back to players who have office buildings continues to increase.
Awesome. Odyssey asks, will it be VR compatible?
I think we've actually, I don't know that we've confirmed that with the team, but it's been talked about a lot, and
is it possible?
it's on their roadmap. I think so. I think that's what they're striving for, is like that total world is supposed to be this total immersion into this beautiful city that's already been like created. I know that those in the community, like the folks, like there are tons of people who are thrilled at the thought of it becoming, VR compatible. I can't see a world why they wouldn't pursue that. Is
Right.
that what they want to like prioritize out of the gate? I think we probably want to get avatar mode, like just third person walking around, first and foremost. But there's no reason why in the near future, like the natural iteration is, okay, walk around the city as your avatar in third person. The natural progression says that at some point in the near future, it's VR. I want to look around. I want to walk around like that. That'll be a really, really cool day when that happens.
Right. Yeah, it would be cool. I mean, I'm really big on VR right now. I think VR is going to absolutely explode over the next 5-10 years. Like crazy explode. AR to augmented reality. Gaming tech it's about to get crazy. About to get crazy. Especially if you couple it up with blockchain technology. You're looking at some crazy things can be going. If you haven't put a virtual headset on and immersed yourself in some other world, and then thought about, hey, I might be able to like own the items in that world, which sounds totally weird, right? Sounds weird
It does.
doing that.
It does. But you know what, Ryan? I've got a friend that plays, whether it's Call of Duty, Destiny, Overwatch, who probably spends $500 a month just on skins, Fortnite, all that stuff. And I bet you if his wife knew that he could buy skins and resell them, or when he gets in trouble and needs to give them back, if he could actually monetize that, isn't that an amazing world? Like you
Right.
have fun, like upgrade your character, do all that stuff, but actually be able to monetize it down the road. Like you said, you're talking about like the people who are designing that stuff getting their fair due finally. But like, what about the people who say like, you know what, like I can actually flip this reward that I got in game for completing this really super hard mission that 75% of other people who are playing the game haven't been able to do. I can now sell that. Okay, now all of a sudden you literally have an entire sector of the real world economy opening up where it's not just esports where you're playing games and tournaments, it's that you're actually able to monetize your accomplishments. Forget about head to head accomplishments, just like what you acquire in game can now be used to put actual food on your real life table. That's
Right.
a cool thing.
Oh yeah, it's honestly one of the coolest things I think technology has brought to the table so far. I thought every 5 years there's something that's like the new coolest thing. So right now this is it for me. Filippo Barrio, my main man Filippo's got a couple good questions. How many hours do you play a week? You set time or just flow?
Probably too much, but in fairness, the actual amount of time that I spend in game taking an action versus I would say just like um, being in the community and participating in the social aspect of the game, very different. So I think on any given day, you're probably talking about 15, 20 minutes of actual gameplay right now, which is why I think we're all really excited about missions because all of a sudden now there's a reason for even the smallest player to log in every single day and interact in the world for hours on end if that proves to be something that they want to do. Whereas now, like if you have a single level one building, you might log in, once every 7 days. So as we start to think about the metrics, the key metrics that lots of people look for in a project, the number of daily users, the actual number of unique users, all that stuff, the more MCP does to create more reasons to log in, both for large players and smaller players, all of a sudden that project can start looking a lot more appealing to a lot more people. But I'd say on any given day, I probably dedicate between 50% to 100% of my attention to MCP for about 4 to 5 hours a day. The missus would probably tell you it's more like 10 to 12 hours a day, and she might not be wrong. But we're doing a lot of things outside of the game, right? So, I think, Camacho, I appreciate, I think you shared the link earlier for mcphq.io. Myself and another member of the community, one of the original players, Bitcoin Baller, where we're spending our time not so much in game, but trying to create this massive, ironically centralized resource for players in the decentralized city, so that this wealth of knowledge that we're accumulating as a community is now out there and available for other players. So hopefully those growing pains that you might have had a year ago being a brand new player, now all of a sudden you have a place you can load up a page that says this is how many of this material you need to build this building. Hey, also watch out, because when you take this action, this action, this action, you're going to incur an ETH gas fee. So don't rent the building unless you're aware that it's also there's going to be a fee associated with it. So like all those things, that time adds up. If we're being completely honest, honey, you're probably watching this. Yeah, I guess I do acknowledge I probably spend a lot more time than I probably should on MCP related activity.
But does she understand the potential of the project? If she understood the potential, I think she'd be way cool with it. Play 18 hours a day.
I think so. Our understanding right now is that I'm spending this amount of time, not just because, first of all, she's awesome, because she recognizes this is first and foremost a hobby for me, and that I don't typically jump into something as much as I've jumped into this without it being well thought out. But our plan is, my greatest hope is that one of the greatest pleasures in my life and my hobby can be something that is profitable enough that like she doesn't have to work. So as our family grows, our ability to be able to break away from having to have to go into an office from 9 to 5, make somebody else money, and sit back and be stressed out. Like I'd love for the day to come when I'm stressed out because Mega has dropped 10%, and I'm saying, crap, that's not great. Much more so than looking at my calendar of a whole bunch of meetings coming up the next day. So I think she gets that it's a potential path to a different life and improved life. So she puts up with it, but she's a good sport.
Awesome. Filippo had another good question. What was the best day in your district, and what was the worst?
Best day and worst day. Okay.
I'm sure we're sure you got some stories.
Yeah. So I think. All right. Let's see. So best day. All right. Best day honestly has to be the first day the district opened. So I purchased District 214 from another player unopened, which is cool. So just quick backstory. What happens is you purchase a district that's already open and active. Like you take on ownership. It's the tokens assigned to you. When you buy a brand new unopened district, which you can in Tron, because there are 19 of 55 districts that have been released, there's still another 36. I can't do that math. 36 districts that will open. What happens is day one when the district opens, there's this massive land rush. It's everybody going in trying to buy land. And I'll be honest, when I bought a district, I had a whole bunch of ideas for what I wanted to do with it. Again, like I sat on my couch for probably like 36 to 48 hours straight before the district opened, putting together PowerPoints and slides to say, okay, this is what this area of the district's going to be used for. And, like this is our mission and this is what I want this thing to become. So I got really, really into it. And I was, obviously like I was optimistic that others in the community would love that and appreciate that and gravitate towards it. But there's still that initial like hesitation and anxiety of like, all right, I'm going to build this thing, but will they come? And, day one, like I was just blown away by the amount of people that come in and bought land. And they didn't buy land to flip it like what typically happens. Like people came in, purchased land, they held it, they developed it, and now when you go through the district, you see just like tons, like skyscrapers and little communities that are popping up from players who have all really like just picked up what we initially put down on day one and said, this is what I want to be part of this. So I think that was the most rewarding day. Worst day?
The worst day may coincide with the next question, actually. Darmarks asks, can you shed some light on the frequency of calamities? And what I think I mean,
Calamity.
what I think he means by that is, are there like in-game disasters that can happen from time to time?
There are, so there are disasters that occur with not random. It is there's a formula for it based off the number of municipal buildings that are constructed in your district. The more that are constructed, the less likely there's going to be a disaster. But those disasters don't actually have a negative impact on anything in the district. So it's actually
Okay.
when there's a fire, it's actually nothing but good for owners of fire stations. There's no disruptive influence. That could theoretically change down the road where MCP says, hey, you know what? To ensure that there's consistent demand for all these materials, when there's an earthquake or a fire, all your buildings going to be damaged, and you're going to have to purchase materials to fix that. That will be a day that when I look at what has occurred in the district, and I see there's a fire, that will actually probably bother me and hurt me as much as a disaster that might happen in real life in my house. But nothing. There's been nothing that's been terrible. I think the trickiest or most challenging or frustrating part of a day in my district is when somebody buys a plot of land that you were planning on buying, but you didn't quite have the capital for, or you thought you could go another couple of weeks and then buy later. That to me that's my current definition of disaster. So if that's the biggest disaster that I've encountered, I'd say I've been pretty lucky. And it also just means that somebody else saw the same value in that piece of land that you yourself saw. So it's positive there.
That same thing happens to me all the time in real life.
Yeah. Yep.
What a
Eyes on the prize.
Keith, you think a VR fireman? Keith, would you play this game if you could play as a fireman in virtual reality? I bet you would, Keith. What a Creo asks, will you be able to drive cars and boats? In
We
the future, maybe, I don't know, but any talk on that?
our
What about
assumption is
cars?
yes.
We'll start with cars
Yeah.
first.
So cars are I would say like 99% confirmed. So on their roadmap, you'll see on MCP3D.com. You scroll down, you see their roadmap. Car plant is one of the special buildings that's supposed to come out. We don't know if it's coming out before Mega World or after, but the idea is that you're going to be able to manufacture cars using materials that are already produced in games: steel, metal, probably some other stuff. And those cars will be interactive. You'll be able to drive them. Right now, there are vehicles in game that you can purchase and own, but they don't. The purpose of the service, you park them in your building, and it improves, the stamina of the workforce that's assigned to that building. So no utility beyond just the improvement of overall stamina. But they've shared some concept art with us that looks like they're looking at this as like you being able to build cars, create cars, open up a dealership, an auto plant. Yep, helicopters. Helicopters is supposed to be a helicopter plant. It was kind of a running joke for a little while, but we've seen concept art for a mega yacht. No pun intended, actually, mega. So like, there's tons of stuff that they can do with this. There's water all over the map. There are roads all over the map. There's just the opportunities are without end there. So I think it all comes to life in some way, shape, or form. The question is what comes out first, and how do they work and kind of play with each other.
I like it. I like it. I see a lot of big things probably coming over the next few years, 6 months. Probably every 6 months, something new. What has it been so far since day one? Updates have come out pretty regularly, right, over the last 3 years.
I'd say I classify their development style as they go through like these head down sprints. It's like it's this all out effort to bring something brand new and awesome online. I'd be lying if I said I could put my finger on the exact cadence, but I think we
Right.
typically see once a quarter there's something substantial. There's something there that's brand new, that creates incremental demand for something, creates a new opportunity. The last 6 months have been a little bit of a fluke because based off of what occurred with Ethereum gas, I think they had to stop and focus on that second layer, bringing Matic in so that the game could remain playable. So their last like 6 months have really been focused on ensuring playability and overall continuity of the gaming experience. And now they get to refocus that time on on Mega World and a whole bunch of other cool stuff for the existing gameplay.
I opened the demo and I think the music might have drowned you out there for a little bit. I'm not sure how to separate I'm not sure how to separate the audio though. This is the demo of the open world, the avatar that every player will be given, walk around the world, and then everyone will be given a what are we calling it? An apartment built in an open room, apartment, display room, whatever you want to call it, to display NFTs in.
Yeah, I think what they've described is the main towers on each map. So like right now you're standing in the main tower. Like it's a skyscraper, right? So they are supposed to receive an apartment in that building. That I don't know if that's actually been confirmed. It was what they talked about, because we've kind of, as a community, talking like, should we really be like just giving away the most essentially the most valuable real estate in like the landmark building to everybody, or should there be a requirement that you use land outside? But within those towers, you have storefronts which can be purchased, not easily attainable. But I believe that their plan was there needs to be a home base for every player, whether that's a tent on a parcel of land, right outside the tower, or an apartment building in the tower. Everybody is supposed to have like that that space that they can personalize in some way, shape, or form.
I'm curious. I can't wait until they open the doors of this.
The doors. So that's the next demo. So they're, I think, and don't quote me on this, but I believe what they had shared with us last was the month of July, the end of July. They're looking to release the next chapter on their blog about Mega World, and then their next iteration of this demo is you walking out the door. So right now you can walk around the tower. Looking out right now, like that's the actual map that you can that's
right
out there. So you walk out.
It looks
those are
good.
real. It's awesome, right? But I think that the next round of the demo is us having the ability to actually step outside the tower and now explore that map that we as a community have actually built.
Right,
you're going to be able to walk up to the building that you've been clicking on. It's a cool concept.
I love it. Let me see if there's any. Are you strapped for time at all, Baba? How many? How you feeling over there?
I'm good. I can keep going. If you guys want to keep going, I can talk all day and night about this. So you tell me when you want me to stop.
I've been talking all day and all night about this for probably about 6 months. So much to the point where I've started to shut up about it because people are getting mad at me. Let me see. Camacho had a question in here earlier. Oh, Boris, what a great question, Boris. Can you be a day trader in the game? Maybe in a few years.
I think there's variations of it, right? So the concept of, I guess, if you define at its core day trading as arbitraging, you still have that same opportunity. So whether that be like you're trading land, you're flipping land, or even we do see a lot of folks, because there's the in-game marketplace where you can sell your materials for Ethereum or for Tron, or you can sell them to the vault and get Mega for it. You see players that actually wait and watch what happens with the price of Mega, calculate out that conversion cost, and will purchase materials in game using Ethereum or Tron, and then immediately sell it to the vault for Mega. So you kind of have that at play. But I think one of the things that they were trying to be mindful of is the notion of like anything where you're creating an order book or anything that can be, potentially construed as an exchange in game. I think there's probably some regulatory challenges that maybe they want to be mindful of. I think what Atari did, in one of the other games, is possibly that initial first step that says, hey, there's precedent here. But to my knowledge, I'm sure there's going to be something like that, but nothing that we know about for sure.
All right. Okay. Camacho was wondering if the Tron based Mega is a separate map / world, or is it integrated in the Ethereum based map?
So two separate worlds. Same mechanics though. So anything that you can do in Ethereum, you can do in Tron, and vice versa. Your costs to build are all essentially the same, right? So whatever it costs you to in materials to build a building in Tron is the same cost on Ethereum. So like if you know the Ethereum map or you know the Tron map, you can easily move over to the other and enjoy that experience with some nuances. The mega token, so there's two distinct mega tokens. There's a mega token that's anchored to the Ethereum map. Those mega coins you can only unlock. So there's a million supply. You can only unlock by depositing materials produced in the Ethereum world into the Ethereum vault to receive that mega. Same thing goes on the Tron side. Materials produced in Tron can be deposited into the Tron vault for the Tron version of Mega. One thing that has come up though in the community is hypothetically, if we're able to stake Mega for world and there's only supposed to be one world token, wouldn't that actually imply that there will at some point become parity between the Ethereum Mega token and the Tron token? Where if one Mega token equals X amount of world tokens, it actually doesn't matter whether it's an Ethereum token or a Tron token. So I think it was Crazy G in the MCP Discord had pointed that out the other day. It's going to be interesting to see how those two tokens evolve. The Ethereum Mega token is the one that's always in the spotlight, but the Tron token it's the exact same utility. If you're on the Tron map, you love that token just as much as everybody on the Ethereum map loves the Ethereum Mega token. So that's something that you should keep an eye on for sure.
Okay. Camacho is why two blockchains? Probably because it sucked to play on Ethereum at first. Tron made it a little cheaper.
Yeah, I think so. This is a super loaded question. I'm definitely gonna navigate this one carefully so I don't get hate. No, hey, I signed up for this, right? I stand by it. The Ethereum world launched, and I think there's a lot of one of the things that really got people excited was that 55 districts in Ethereum, no other districts, that's it. And then ultimately what happened was I don't know that Tron was initially part of the plan, or at least not the plan that was shared with the player community. So Tron came out, and what you have is I think it's just trying to appeal to a different group of players. Just like you've got some people who refuse to hold Tron that would never play MegaCryptoPolis on the Tron world, but because it's on Ethereum, they will play. I think there's an element of diversification there that they're going for to make sure that they can draw players from all over the globe. But the introduction of Tron back, I think in March of last year, is actually a saving grace for the game, because when Ethereum got hit with those ridiculous gas fees, Tron was playable. So just from a pure P&L perspective, for like the continuity of MegaCryptoPolis' own financials, as people stopped doing things on the Ethereum world, at least the team had revenue coming in from the Tron world. So you do have a lot of folks who are like the original players and early adopters. There's some tribalism there where they say, you know what, I'm frustrated, I'm upset that you introduced this other world that doesn't actually require anything from my original world to be successful and to succeed, and therefore I'm not going to play on the Tron map at all. And vice versa, you've got people from Tron that say I'm not going to play on the Ethereum map. I think what I'm hopeful of is that more people see that they love the MCP experience, and they actually stop thinking about this as the Ethereum token and the Tron token, and it's just MegaCryptoPolis. And there are opportunities in the Tron world, there are opportunities in the Ethereum world, and you're not getting the full MCP experience unless you're enjoying both of those worlds.
Right. Now, can you talk a little bit about in-game advertising?
Yeah, so what we know about in-game advertisements is pretty limited, but I think we can summarize it as we know it's on the roadmap. They do have advertisements on their official roadmap. What they've shared with us is that they do want players to be able to share ads on their
Saki
buildings,
Balboa,
but
thank you
not
very
all
much for the
buildings,
sub
which I think is pretty
and
cool.
the
Like
follow.
you don't want
Appreciate
a
it.
city just full of billboards. So I think currently the plan is that the commercial buildings, so your supermarkets and your trade centers, those buildings will be able to display ads, whereas all the other buildings and office and stuff like that won't be able to display ads. Office buildings can display logos, so if you assign it to a corporation, you can do that. But I think ads, as of right now, what we know the team's exploring is advertisements is an additional use case and utility for commercial buildings, but not for other buildings that we know of so far.
Okay. Okay. Uh, Saki Balboa, thanks again for your subscription and good question. Will there be opportunities for crafting like woodworking? An example, making oak cabinets.
Presumably, right? So if you're going to
Will
have
there be oak cabinets in
your
the
own
game,
space,
Baba?
there'll be cabinets, right? Maybe. I think you're going to have your own personal space, and what remains to be seen is how you can decorate it. But if MCP continues with the pie in the sky approach, like anything is possible. So theoretically, yeah, you're going to craft things like couches, furniture to sit on. The use case and the reason like why you do that, I don't know yet. I don't think we actually know, but they've shared lots of concept art for different appliances, couches, even like different fabrics for couches. So it seems like they're really
All right.
covering all the bases there.
Yeah, from what I've researched and read, it looks like the creation part of the game, you can create anything that you want and import it into the game. Metaverses are they're great because anyone can make you could so Saki Balboa, you could make the finest oak cabins that you have ever seen in your favorite 3D modeling application, and then import them, mint them as an ERC-721 token, import it into your home or your penthouse on floor 110 of Baba's skyscraper on First Avenue in District 114 on Tron. You could have the best okay. You could you could have them look. You could texture them however you want. You could put logo. You could put pictures of your kids on there. You could whatever you want. You could technically import into the game, and that's what all these metaverses are doing. Not just MegaCryptoPolis, but you got like all these other ones. There's a ton of different ones. There maybe not a ton, but a handful. A good 5 or 6 that look really interesting right now. But Mega, they already got the product. They got land that's already locked up. They got locks on the land because you can't buy it yet. It's not open, but it's ready. It's prepared. There aren't any other projects that are even near uh, the production level of this yet. They're lagging way behind. Way behind. Emmy9223, thank you very much for the sub. Emmy, did you have a question? Camacho, how many district owners are there, Baba?
So 55 Ethereum districts and 19 Tron districts released out of the 55. So up to 110 distinct owners could own the assets, but you do have people who own multiple districts. So you're probably talking about like 40 different district owners in Ethereum. And then on Tron, it's a little bit more consolidated. I think there are probably like 8 to 10 unique players that own districts on the Tron side.
Okay, 8 to 10. Any word on the Ethereum side? And any word on map growth?
Map
Do
growth
you
in
not know?
in
I
the
know
context of
there's probably no word on it, but do you see the map growing or new maps in the future? I know this is pretty much just all speculation at this point right now. If they probably will make new maps if the game becomes more popular in years to come. Things could evolve down so many different paths. Who knows, right?
yeah. I think it goes back to that notion of responsible growth. So you could make the argument that, like when the Tron map was introduced, it actually kind of screwed over Ethereum owners a little bit, right? Because they purchased an Ethereum district believing that would be one of 55 and that's it. Now all of a sudden a new map comes around and there's that scarcity in districts. What was one of 55, you're now
Right.
one of 110. I think the key though is the game will actually benefit or could benefit from many more maps. The key, in my humble opinion, is going to be that each new map has to have a strong dependence on the previous map. So, let's say that you want to roll a Cardano map next. Cardano has to require materials from Tron or materials from Tron and Ethereum. So in that way, as a new map gets introduced, it increases demand and the value of all the ancestral assets. That might be one way that the MCP team can continue to grow the map and introduce other opportunities without, eroding the value of previously released and purchased assets.
Got it. Emmy, I'm glad you're here just to learn more. Have you been learning anything, Emmy? What have you been learning so far? Does anyone else have any questions for Baba Yetu about MegaCryptoPolis? Baba, when do these land plots open up? This is what, District 260?
Yeah. So I forget what district. One auction just ended. So there's never more than 2 districts up for auction at a time. So they get released staggered, so you don't have 10 opening at the same time. I forgot what district it is that was just purchased. I don't know why I want to say 255. I could be completely wrong. It's based off of when the owner wants to open it. So somebody could buy the district and hold it and actually not open it, and it kind of creates this weird disruption in the economy where all of a sudden there's no new cheap land coming around, so people just kind of get acclimated to paying a little bit more for land in districts that have already opened. But it's up to the winner of the auction when they want to open that district. So they can get it and they can open it. It could be 2 days from now. They could hold on to it for a year. It's up to them, or a year or more actually.
Okay. Now, when these open, say they open tomorrow, and you wanted to go scoop up some land plots, would you look for a plot just like this? Would this be one of your first options because of the resources on it?
So if you think about resources and land, a plots with resources, it's I want to say it's the only finite, you know, for lack of a better word, resource in the game, right? So there are only so many plots of land that have a resource on it. And the reason why that's important is because energy and water plants can only be built on plots that have resources. You can build a smelter plant for like all those other buildings. You can build on any plot of land that you own. But those 2 buildings specifically can only be constructed on plots that have resources. And because everything in the game requires energy to collect, to run, to power, you reach this point where as the game grows, demand for that material, for energy and for water, is going to continue to grow. And because those buildings can only be constructed on certain plots, you have this potential extreme scarcity at play for those types of plots that just wouldn't exist for some other plots.
Okay. So now for this plot right here, is this like the epicenter of the where the resources are? Because it says 6 resources. The one next to it says 5. The one next to that says 3. The one out a little further says 2. The one out a little further says 1. So is this resource little icon, or none of the other squares show the resources on there, right? This one I can see them. They're on that plot. These
Right.
spread out to the other plots around it.
So I would venture a guess that there's somebody who has worked out exactly what the pattern or rhyme is to the distribution of resource abundance. But I think it does seem to be like it kind of radiates out. So you're going to have the highest concentration of the highest amount of resources kind of in the center of the cluster, and then as you kind of expand out, they seem to diminish. That specific what you're looking at, that plot that has like, it looks like there's a pit. It's like when I first entered the game, I had no idea what that was. I actually thought it meant that plot was more valuable. I think it seems to be, as of right now, it's nothing more than just a visual indicator that, hey, this plot of land, this is a pit, which means that the surrounding plots also have resources. Beyond that, there's nothing different that you can do with that plot versus the plot next to it that has resources but doesn't look like it has that resource pit on it.
Right. Does the district owner set the price for the plots of land from Casper, the ghost? Who sets the price of the plots of land?
So initially, yeah. So hard-coded, I think that the absolute bare minimum that the first plot in any district can sell for is 200, 220. Well, so let's say Tron, 200, 225 Tron. As a plot gets purchased, keeping in mind that every single plot in a 7x7 range around it, so 3 plots in every direction, the price goes up. So you have this world where there are only a handful of plots that can be purchased in a district for that bare minimum. And by the time once that first plot is purchased, now